Time for this week's 10-Minute War, a little homage to the 10-year war back when it was still a rivalry. It's not anymore. But that won't stop us from talking to the one and only, perhaps, reasonable Ohio State Bucknut himself, Mark Rogers, who has a fantastic Voice of College Football channel all on his own, covering every team and every angle imaginable from this great sport. You can find it right here on YouTube alongside our channel as well. Mark, good to have you back, brother. How are you?
I'm doing great, Steve. Enjoying the college football. It's great to see you. And a little bit of me believes that you're stating that about it no longer being a rivalry, thinking with a smirk in the back of your mind that it may soon be one again.
No. All right, let's get to your thoughts, Mark, on what you've seen from Michigan so far and what you think it may or may not portend for the rest of the season. I laid out my thoughts here at the start of the program. Now it's your turn.
I think you can have a run-first identity in this day and age of college football, but you have to have the ability to throw the football. So I think they've shown that to a certain extent, and so I think that's healthy where maybe they kind of lost their way to a certain extent. Jim Harbaugh is comfortable and loves fullbacks and tight ends, and he loves to run the football, smash mouth football. And I think there's a place for that still in college football, and they are executing that. And when they go to the air game, which was, I think, only 17 of 65 plays against Northern Illinois, they're taking pretty deep shots. And I think it's been pretty effective. And I think that they can capitalize on that identity in the Big Ten. Actually, what they are doing seems to be more in vogue in this conference this particular season among what has become the upper crust of the Big Ten, which is a very thick upper crust. Wisconsin, Penn State, Michigan, possibly Michigan State, Iowa, Wisconsin, that all those teams have identity in the defense first and foremost. And Michigan's back to playing Michigan defense on that side of the football, where Ohio State's kind of the outlier in trying to contend this season as a pass-happy offensive machine that can't play defense.
That's the issue. It's the defensive side of the ball on top of the style that Ohio State wants to play. I think these are some things Ryan Day's never really faced before as a head coach. On top of it, I understand there's a crazy story where one of the Ohio State websites may have apparently been paying a player to give them inside news, and then that guy got kicked off the team or benched or something. What's gone on with the defensive coordinator position, a guy he handpicked, and then he hands it over to a guy that was like a analyst for us just a few years ago, and then in his very first game gives up 500 some odd yards to a Tulsa team that even last year when they were good was not a good offense. That team was driven by defense. So I think Ryan Day is going through a few things right now that with the roster that he inherited and the toys that he was given, he's just not had to face as a head coach before. And he's got some time looking at that schedule to dig out from it and come up with some answers. But they're figuring some things out right now as we speak. So let's do this, Mark. With most of the non-conference, obviously you had Notre Dame, Wisconsin this weekend. Iowa, Colorado State are going to play a game of, which coach can punt at the opponent's 38-yard line the most. With that notwithstanding, we're really kind of heading into conference play now. Let's play a game of fake news or not. I'll just give you a Big Ten team, all right? And you tell me when it comes to what the current perception of them is either a Big Ten contender, a team that can make a bowl game, or a playoff contender, if you think they're fake news or not. You think that they're, maybe the rep is deserved based on what you're seeing. You ready to go?
Here we go.
All right, let's do this rapid fire. Let's start with right here, Michigan. What do you think? Fake news or not?
Not. I believe if the standard is and the expectation is to contend for a Big Ten championship, not necessarily win it. I'm not guaranteeing a winning Big Ten championship.
Good.
Team,
we don't win championships around here anymore, so it's good you're not guaranteeing that. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. Not with the Scarlet and Gray still around. And despite all the calls that I took over the weekend, yes, they still have 4 and 5 stars and will fix it to some degree. That Michigan will be a roughly 9-3 ball club that will be in contention for Big Ten Eastern Division Championship with a couple weeks left in the season. Yes.
Okay. Ohio State then.
Ohio State's Ohio State. And I understand it has been crazy listening to the backlash that I've heard on my show and my channels, that where Ryan Day, 10 days ago, Ryan Day was a better coach than Urban Meyer. In the eyes of most Ohio State fans, Ryan Day was never going to lose a Big Ten game, would never lose a regular season game. How could he possibly lose a regular season game? His team is 2 touchdowns better than everybody on the schedule. That went away with Urban Meyer. And now Ryan Day there are serious questions about Ryan Day's ability to lead a program, and that Ohio State is falling off the map. Like, there are droves of alarmists out there about Ohio State football. Now, what is going to happen the rest of this season? I don't necessarily know. I do know that Ohio State still has the talent and has a decided talent advantage over everybody in the Big Ten to win the conference, or sometimes it just doesn't come together for every team and they could finish 9-3. But my money would be on Ohio State winning the Big Ten still.
Michigan State.
Michigan State's a really good, scrappy football team with an outstanding running back in Kenneth Walker, who really lit up Miami after 2 weeks ago, Northwestern. And I think Michigan State's going to be – there's a collection of teams in the Big Ten beyond the Iowas, Wisconsins, Penn States that are going to play spoiler in November. And Michigan State's going to be one of those teams, like maybe a Minnesota and Maryland, that you do not want to face in November.
Iowa
is a legitimate contender.
Okay.
I think some of the offensive ineptitude is based on scoreboard and calling plays based on situation and based on playing complementary football to that defense. Now, can they keep up the scoring pace on that defense? Of course not. But they have historically been a turnover defense that is they have a top 5 to 10 defense in the country, and the offense will improve and get better when they are called upon. Iowa's going to be in it until the end.
ESPN's FPI projecting Iowa now to go 12-0, by the way. Wisconsin, fake news or not?
Wisconsin is the better version most years of Iowa. This year, we'll see if they are. They, of course, shot themselves in the foot repeatedly against Penn State. They were the better team in the first half. Penn State hung around and made the plays in the second half. Graham Mertz is, of course, like most quarterbacks on teams that are on the border of contention, the key to this whole thing, because I believe in the Wisconsin product. From what I saw against Penn State on the defensive side of the ball, this could be a vintage Wisconsin defense that, even though it was Eastern Michigan, had only given up 1 first down until the final drive of the game. If they can get capable quarterback play out of Graham Mertz, then Wisconsin, Iowa, that will be the showdown for the Big Ten West.
All right, 2 more. You mentioned Penn State. I'll ask you about them next. Fake news or not?
Penn State is the closest competitor to Ohio State. I think that what we've seen over the first 3 weeks of the season, even against a Ball State team that's rather legit, in game number 2, that Penn State is in it for the long haul. Sean Clifford's not a great quarterback, but I think he's made the necessary adjustments to become a very capable quarterback within that offense. Playmakers on the outside led by Jahan Dotson, capable tight end, and that Penn State defense might turn out to be the best in the conference. And this defense, or this conference, can play defense.
Finally, Rutgers.
I have all due respect for Greg Schiano. I think what he's done at Rutgers is remarkable to make them competent. He has squeezed out 3 wins. They will run into a bit of a buzzsaw against Michigan. I think it's going to be a competitive game for a half, but the line at 19 is fair. Rutgers is going to maybe get 1 surprise win, but they're a 3-6 Big Ten record team.
That would be 6 wins in a bowl game. They'll take that. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I mean, they were primordial ooze, 2 or 3 years ago. So they'll take a bowl game.
21 consecutive defeats in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
Most
they will
of them
take it for sure.
40 and 50 points.
Final thing. End of the Big Ten season, the biggest surprise could be a player, team, coach firing. Biggest surprise will be what?
I think that Maryland has the capability to pull off a major upset in this conference. I think that they showed us last week against Illinois that they can play defense. They've recruited on that side of the ball, that they've got 2 tremendous playmakers at wide receiver. And when Talia's hot at quarterback, I expect them to have 1 shocker in their hip pocket for the Big Ten race in November.
Mark, great stuff as always, brother. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us and being a part of the program here on Michigan Podcast.
Always good to see you, Steve.
You bet.